Okay, hi, John Rawson. It's been so long since we've chatted. Nice to see you
Nice
again.
and to see you.
Yeah, so what's the latest? What have you been up to these days?
Um, well, we've just been working towards Naha, really. We've just
Hmm.
done that. So we've got five
Hmm.
finalists announced yesterday,
Amazing.
so which was great. Yeah, David Barron's got through for Hairdresser of the Year and for Masters. Anna Paquito
Of
is
course.
through for, of course, is through for Masters. And James, who won Canadian Hairdresser of the Year this year, he's through in Hairdresser of the Year as well. And then Daniel Benoit, do you know Daniel?
Hmm.
So
Yes, I do.
he's through for hair cutting. So it's been we shot them all at the same time last year. I came over
Oh,
to
wait, because you went to
Montreal.
Montreal. That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then went on to Atlanta and shot with David there, with the
Hmm.
avant-garde collection there, which is lovely, very strong. And then he came back out, and then he came to London in September, and we shot in London in September. So
Great.
yeah,
So how often do you make it over to Canada, or is that you just kind of like a
uh,
once a year thing?
yeah, probably twice a year, something like that.
Hmm. Hmm.
We used to come over, do quite a bit because Anna was involved with Intercoiffure.
Right.
So we used to come over and do the big Intercoiffure show, and then I would come over and then shoot with Anna and James and whatever. So yeah, but she's finished her term there now, so she's
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't
yeah,
know that. Yeah. Well,
yeah,
it's been a while.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, well, you're only supposed to do 3 years, but they asked her to do another three because of COVID. So
Right.
she did it for 6 years in total. So it's a long time to be doing that, really.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
And it's a lot of work. Do you go to those shows?
I'd only gone because we shot live on stage at
Oh, what
the
did you do on
Intercoiffure show
stage?
in
That's
Montreal.
cool. Like a live photo
Well,
shoot on stage?
yeah, yeah. Which never I've done it a couple of times before, but it's not very successful normally to do it, to actually produce something, because the lighting's so affected by all the stage lights and everything
Mm-hmm.
else that's kind of going on. And it's always
Hmm.
very rushed. You're only on stage for about, an hour or whatever the case may be. So we shot it all backstage and then sort of redid it again on stage. And as
Oh,
it's turned out, this is the first time it's ever happened, but we actually preferred the pictures that we shot on stage live,
oh
which
yeah.
that never ever happened before.
Well, you're a lighting
Um,
master. I'm sure you could work around
well,
it
it
all.
was something else was going on. There were lights flashing everywhere and everything. It gave us quite an interesting thing that I've never seen before. So that's the
Right.
collection that we pulled together from that she just got through now.
Oh, that's amazing.
So
Well,
that's
it's so great.
yeah,
It's so great to see so many Canadians in the
yeah,
Nahas too, which
absolutely,
which is
yeah,
always the case, right?
yeah, yeah. I think I don't know if this is the right thing to say, but I think the Canadian hairdressers in particular travel a lot more and are therefore very heavily influenced with things that are going on in Italy. And obviously, like Daniel, for example, comes to London twice a year to go, to Sassoon's or whoever he goes to in London. And
Hmm.
Anna's always involved with other people, with Davanaz and whatever. So they have a lot of other influences. And I've done a lot of training and a lot of work over the years. And I think their work has a bit of a European flavor to it, really.
Hmm.
And it's quite different from a lot of the work that's in America, which is very
Hmm.
strong, very colourful. They love colour, 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 colour. So it's a little bit subtler, I think, the Canadian work. And
Yeah,
we've won twice.
but also like Anna and Danielle are from Quebec. They're from Montreal,
Yeah,
and even like within Canada, Montreal has kind of a different vibe than the rest of the country. And I always say like, Montreal's like the Europe of Canada
yeah,
because they have their own kind of style and
yeah,
vibe happening.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
think I think that's right. Yeah, I think that's right. But I mean, I shot with Ben Barker, who's from Toronto
Yes,
last
he's my
year.
friend. He's like I can walk to his place. He's just down the street from
Oh,
me.
right,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And we did the men's collection with him last year.
That's great.
And that had that feel to it, but obviously Ben's English, isn't he?
I think like, yeah, background.
Half and half.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's very Canadian now, but I think he was born and bred over here. So, yeah, so there's that influence there as well. Yeah, it's interesting how that works.
Yeah.
Um, and
Well,
one of the
it's
reasons
very
why I like,
important to tie that into your
yeah,
style and to
yeah,
travel, and that's where we get
yeah,
inspiration
yeah,
from our travels and from, you know, looking outside of just the hair box, so to speak,
Yes.
you know, and
Right.
to take in bits
Yeah.
and pieces of culture and
Yeah.
whatever might be
Well, I
influential.
think that's also why she likes what I do as well, because obviously it's a bit more European, so it kind of fits with her agenda as well. You know, so that kind of works really, really, really well.
Yeah.
And then we shot with James for the first time this year, so that was interesting as well.
Yeah.
Because we
Well,
were
also,
going to shoot with James 5 years ago, and then we ran into COVID because I actually had a meeting with him in Long Beach, and then COVID hit. So that was a bit of a shame, really. But so this was the first time, and then he won.
there you go. You're like,
Amazing, isn't it?
tap
Amazing.
into the Rawson. That's it.
Well,
You've won so many awards with your work.
Yeah.
Lots.
Yeah. I don't. It's a bit of a funny thing because everybody talks about that all the time, but it's not really it's not my focus, really. I'm much more interested in shooting. When I shoot for somebody, all I'm thinking of is front cover. That's in my head, is that I want to get a front cover with that collection or with some pictures in or whatever. And so that's always my aim. I don't really think too much about competitions, although I got wrapped up a lot in BHA for years because we did loads and loads and loads of stuff like that. But in the last 10 years in particular, it's all for me been about coverage and getting work in in the magazines and covers in particular.
For sure.
Which is a good thing, I think. I think you can get too wrapped up in competition.
Yeah. So what do you think? Like, has there been any change in competition style, photography, and shooting and styling? Like, is it time for a change? Like, do you feel like it's a little bit the same, or is there someone in particular that you can say, hey, well, I can see them kind of going in their own direction? You know?
Yeah, I think. I mean, when we did all the BHA stuff for 5-10 years, and that was really the only major competition there was at that time, really.
Yeah, because it's how many years they're in their 40th year or something, like
30 something, 40 years,
yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
But they had no international section. So it was all British hairdressers. It had to be British based, and that was the number one thing. Nobody else did anything really. And then Tribute did the Tribute show, and now we've got the International Hair Awards, and we've got obviously NAHA that we're involved in. You know, Canadians grown and grown and grown. The Global Image Awards, the AIPP Awards, now the Press Awards and whatever. And so there's far, far, far more competitions around the world, really. And actually, I think there's a bit too many now. It's got a bit.
Well, then it becomes the point of like picking and choosing what really resonates with you, or what you think is like the highest level, or you got the best chance of winning, maybe.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, people always say, oh, you know, we can't win in the IPP, or we can't win in IHA, or whatever. You know, somebody always wins from Australia or Spain or whatever the case may be. And I don't agree with that at all whatsoever. I think it's just that you've got to do the best collection, and if you do the best collection, and regardless of where it comes from, it will win. And I think it's really easy to get caught up in that thing. Oh, it's not unfair. The judges don't like me, and people get really wrapped up in that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Well, it is about the judges, because the judges are making the final decision. But the judges are, hopefully, depending on the competition, are top notch, right? They know their stuff. They've been around for a long time, and it's not always the same judges every year. They do switch it around, which is really key, so that it isn't about, oh yeah, these specific judges only like that person. So that's how you keep the fairness happens, right?
Yeah, but people always say, oh, that person wins all the time. She must know the judges, or he must know, and it's unfair that person wins all the time. But the reason they win all the time is because it's the best, isn't it? You run a competition, you know what comes up. When you look at something, it's an immediate effect, isn't it? It has some sort of effect on you.
For sure. It grabs you right away. But then even, when you have a collection, I find some of the issues in these situations are, you might have 3 really strong images and then 2 that are not, that kind of bring it all down. Like, it's got to be like all 5 of them have to be top notch, great. it's your photography, it's your hair, it's your
Yes.
styling, it's your model, it's the creative direction. I find often but it's interesting about models because there's like pretty traditional models, and then there's kind of ugly cool models, which is also okay. But if it looks like this girl isn't really a model, this model doesn't look like a model, and they just found their dog walker or something like that, like that's what to me what brings it down.
Well, I think there's two points to that. I think that's why London has such a specific look, because Hob and Sassoons and Rush and whatever, they and Tony and Gar, they've grown a group of models that are personal to them over a time period, because they use them for doing shows, and they use them for Salon International, and they shoot with them for whatever. And they are those girls. They look like a London girl. They're androgynous. They'll have a haircut with a fringe up here.
Right.
So
that's actually their hair.
Which is their
not
real
a wig.
Hair, no wigs.
Yeah.
Which I think is refreshing, and I think is a positive thing. I mean, it's a very controversial thing to say, but for me, I don't think, like in haircutting, for example, at Naha, there should be allowing wigs in that. I don't think that's right. How can you prove that you're a good haircutter when you can't a wig? But that's
wigs
just my own
have been in the
personal
competition all the time.
I've
even seen it though, like no wigs allowed. But who says, let me see behind the scenes, show us the behind the scenes of you cutting that. Like that never happens.
Yeah, I mean, I get why people do it, because it's so difficult to find girls. You know? That's why the guys in London have such a big advantage, because they're
edgy.
There's millions of them. There's millions of girls around.
Yeah.
And so that's a real big advantage. And I have to say, funnily enough, going back to the Canada thing, shooting in Montreal, when I came out initially and shot with Hélène Perret, amazing girls, absolutely amazing. And Anna always has amazing models.
It makes all the difference.
And it makes
really
a huge difference. And also that, it's their girls. So you don't get the situation where, the same girls being used over and over and over again for everybody with the same haircut and the same, which does happen
switch it up.
Which does happen in BHA. Which I get, because there's only a finite amount.
But some models look like chameleons. So if you really create such a different look on them, you can really make them look like a different person.
Yeah, that's right. But the girls that can do that are top end girls. That's why they're really good. And they can be done.
But then you can't cut their hair if
then
they're
you can't cut their hair, and you can't afford
then you're
them.
using a wig.
And they can't afford them,
we're back to where we started.
That's right. So then they end up picking the pretty girl or the girl next door or whatever, and she can't do what I want her to do, and so that makes my part of the job very difficult. And that's why sometimes those collections don't come across. The hair can be great, the makeup can be great, styling can be great, and the girl just doesn't have it. That's something. So that's something that I think a lot of people should really work a lot harder with. Don't just say, we need to get professional models. Get good models that you can do good work on. I think that's much more important.
Well, that is the ongoing challenge. The ongoing challenge is finding the models, and there's no point in getting a model just because you need to have 10 in a collection. So we'll just throw in a few more because it will bring the value and quality of your collection down.
Well, that's why BHA is so difficult to win, because there has to be 8 looks. It's 8 models.
Oh, that's a lot.
Which is a lot.
Yeah.
So it's in 2 sections. You put 4 in to get finalised, and then do another 4 to get in. So there's a lot of models involved. There's a lot of production involved. It's very expensive to do, because you've got to do 2 shoots. It's an expensive trip, and I think that's telling a bit now at the moment. I think that the entries are down because people have not recovered from COVID.
Right. And also that's why maybe you see some of the same names there, because they're the ones that can afford to do it. So
100%.
So why don't they switch that up? They should change that and give more opportunity.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think we have, in BHA there's a lot more regional awards as well, which you're having in Naha now, in Canada and stuff. And I think that's a really good stepping stone, because you can be good enough to win your region or whatever the case may be before you go on to try and win the big deal, But yeah, it's difficult. And also, just going back to the point on competitions, I think they should have more photographers involved in judging. I think there should be more makeup artists involved in judging, because there aren't any at all, as I understand it. Stylists,
In Beauty in Motion, I've
Yeah.
always got a makeup artist involved, because you got to think about everybody that's involved in a shoot and what makes that a great shoot. The only problem with the photographers is that what if that photographer's work is in the competition? So that's the only issue.
Yeah, well, maybe need to find somebody who's retired.
Because you couldn't do it, because your work is everywhere.
Well, I don't really shoot BHA anymore, so I could do BHA.
Oh, okay, right.
So, you know, that'd be fair. And to be honest with you, I think I'm honest enough and truthful enough to look at 5 sets of pictures and say, yeah, I think that's great and it's shot really well, regardless of whether I've done it or not.
Yeah.
You know, I think you have to have a bit of integrity there, don't you? And I think you probably, in my view, I would probably vote for somebody else's rather than mine, because
you're so critical of yourself.
Yeah, you will. That's right. You almost do it by defer, don't you? You know.
Yeah.
And also, by the time it gets to competition time, I'm sick to death of seeing them.
Right. You've seen them. You've retouched them. You've worked on them for hours. You're like over it already.
Yeah, that's right. By the time they come out in press and whatever,
you're like over it. Yeah.
That was like a year ago.
Right.
You know, we shot David's this time last year.
Yeah.
So that's, they've been in goodness knows how long we've been holding back.
Yeah.
But they always want to hold back for Naha. Always.
Yeah. Well, and then it's the timing, right? So then they'll shoot based on timing.
That's right.
Yeah. So how long would you say, what's a good time to prepare for a shoot? Like if you're going to do a collection of, say, like 5, 6 models, I would say always throw a couple extra models in there, because you want to look at the whole collection, and maybe those 1 or 2 didn't work out, so you can pick your best.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think you should just try and get five really good girls off, whatever it is that you can get. Because if you try and do too much on a day, if you try and do like 10 girls on a day,
exhausting.
Well, I just don't think any of it probably will be good, because you're just trying to do too much. This is when we do like a big shoot. I'm shooting for Anna or whatever. I want to shoot 5 girls in that day, and then you probably get 2 looks on each girl. That's 10 looks anyway in a day.
Right.
You've got an hour of makeup and styling on each girl, so that's 10 hours of the day gone before I've even started shooting anybody. So, and then everybody gets tired. The models get tired. The makeup artist is doing the makeup.
How many shoots have you done until like 2 a.m?
I've not done many until 2 o'clock, but I've done quite a few at midnight. And it's really hard, I think, for some people to understand that the girls have a time limit.
Sure.
If they've been in front of the camera and flash has been going off.
Oh yeah.
For X amount of hours.
For sure.
That girl is finished, and their eyes go. Eyes go. They get, they just can't see anymore, and so it's hypnotic, and almost they get to a point where they can't respond, and they have to be really careful about that. You're much better off getting a girl and having 2 really good hours with her. Don't get all the girls in at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then let half of them sit around until 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Stagger it, yeah.
It's ridiculous. She's exhausted by the time she gets in front of camera. So yeah, I mean, it is difficult. There are a lot of things you kind of learn over the years that make a good shoot. But I think just get the best team you can get.
Well, the other thing is, if you have such a great model who's really experienced and great at what she does, you can almost like bang that off in the first like dozen shots. It's like
absolutely.
You might keep shooting.
Yeah.
But then I've also find that sometimes photographers might overshoot. It's like, okay, we got that shot so long ago, and you're still like bam, 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 bam. It's like, okay,
that is not me.
Yeah, because when you got
opposite of that.
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing to learn. If I shoot a girl in the first 20, 30 shots and I haven't got the shot, then there's probably something that's not right. Yeah. Yeah. If I shoot another 30, it's not going to get any better. If I shoot another 100, it's not going to get any better. There's just something wrong. So is the hair not right? Is the makeup not right? Is the styling not right? Does the girl not understand the message? I like to spend a lot of time with a girl, talk to them, give them information. It's a bit like, an actor being in a play, and you just, the actor comes on stage and you just go, act.
Right.
you know,
That's not a good director. Yeah.
No, it's ridiculous.
You're a director. You're essentially the director of the whole thing.
Yeah. So I want to talk to the girl beforehand, show her what it is that we want to do, explain to her or him, whatever the case is, what the mood of the shoot is, what the concept of the shoot is. And I get it all the time. Girls come up at the end of the day and say, that's the first time the photographer's ever said that to me, ever.
Really?
And girls that work in, which is crazy. Because they have that attitude, oh, you know, you're booked as a model, you must be a model.
Yeah, you're a mannequin, mannequin, but like...
That's right. Oh, but I didn't get a great picture out of you. Well, that's your fault. You know, if I can't communicate to you what it is that I want, then that's my failure, not her failure.
You know, it's also creating like a rapport and a comfort level, right? Because I mean, I'm sure a lot of models have a lot of confidence in themselves, and then some may not because of where they get these models from. So creating that comfort level where they're you know, jiving with you, and they're getting it, and that makes them open up and relax.
100%. You know, and if you do get that from the girl, and the girl is excited about doing the shoot, then you're going to get much better. You're going to get much better pictures. And if you walk in,
the energy.
You know, if they walk in and you don't talk to them, which happens on shoots, you know, oh, well, I didn't know you would have told her. Well, you know. That's a failure on my part, isn't it? You have to sit down, you have to give them the story, give them the script, make sure that they understand it, get them excited about it, because then you'll get much better pictures.
Yeah, because you're also including them in the collaboration. It's not like you're just here for your looks and we don't want you involved in it, because they might say, what about this pose? What about this or whatever?
Absolutely. It's crazy, isn't it? Like, that happens all the time.
Yeah, I've seen it. Like I feel the tension sometimes, and I'm just like, oh, but it's not my place. Like if I'm on set as a makeup artist or a stylist or whatever, I might suggest some poses or crack a joke to like you know, make her feel like relax a little. Yeah, because sometimes it could get really like intense. And
I mean, we were shot in Atlanta recently, and there's 4 girls that came from an agency. And when they came in, sat down, talked to them, whatever, did the whole shoot, whole day. It was quite a long shoot and everything else. And the 4 of them came up to me at the end of the shoot and said, that's the best shoot they've ever been on. And it's the first time that someone has ever spoken to them and told them what they wanted to do. And these are girls that are doing it for a living. I know.
Wow.
Yeah. But again, I think if in a lot of places, maybe in Atlanta, they just shoot a lot of e-commerce. So the girl is just literally a mannequin.
Right, their catalog.
Put that on, you know, and they're just doing e-commerce all the time. So in that case, it's a different story. But even then, I think you get better pictures if the girl is involved. You know, it just doesn't make any sense. You know, you're a makeup artist, you know what that's like. If somebody doesn't communicate to you, I'll do the makeup, that makes no sense at all.
Yeah, and especially on the makeup front, because if something doesn't work and something needs to be totally removed, we're talking about starting from scratch, because you can't just like undo something that's done. Like you really have to clean it and start from scratch. Absolutely. Because as soon as you start adding, it just gets muddy and it gets worse.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you have to storyboard, you know, so that everybody understands and whatever. And then the other thing you get with makeup, often it's a case if they want sort of very heavy eyelids and very heavy makeup and you know, a classic sort of smoky eye and whatever, which is always my favorite kind of look anyway. But the girl has to have a lot of space in her eye. She has to have a big eye set, and if she hasn't,
then she looks like
you can't do it.
Yeah.
So some, you know, you have I understand that, and then I can have a conversation with the makeup artist, which helps, and with the styling. Styling sometimes just doesn't work, does it? You know, and if it doesn't work, you've got to change it.
And that's the thing. There needs to be some flow. There needs to be options, first of all, because if there's no options, then you're screwed, because you need to be able to move things around that works or doesn't work. But you also have to have some give and flow within your huge amount of options.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on shoots where there were 5 models and 5 dresses, which is insane.
I've been on shoots where there's nothing. There's like a plastic bag or something. We're going to shoot with this plastic bag. No, in fact, what happened one time is I was on shoot as a makeup artist and stylist, and the clothes were from like this little local shop down the road, which was very like, you know, street clothes, a very normal, everything white tank tops. Nothing really exciting about it. But they were in the garment like plastic bag from the dry cleaner, I literally used the plastic bags
Plastic
and made
bag,
it look
right?
way better because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
used the white
yeah,
part underneath and then
yeah.
took the plastic bag and turned it into
Mm,
some kind of sculpture around their body,
yeah,
and then that was cool.
mm,
But that's like really winging it. You know what I
mm.
mean? I'm like, well,
Yeah,
what are we gonna
absolutely.
do? Because
Yeah,
this tank top is just doing nothing, right?
yeah.
It's so
Well,
boring.
bad clothes kill a shoot, don't they? Absolutely kill a shoot.
Yeah, and it's a
And
shame because the
yeah,
money involved and the
yeah,
time and all these
yes.
people, and then you drop the ball on any one of those things,
Mm,
you've killed it.
yeah. Well, that's what people, I think that people don't understand is that they think that if they do their bit, and that's good, that and some of the other bits aren't good, then you're going to have a good shoot. You're not.
Yeah.
If all the bits are not good, then the whole thing at the end of it is not good.
And if
You
one
know?
bit is not good, but the
Yeah,
rest are good, it just brings the whole thing down.
100%, 100%. I mean, I've done shoots where the clothes were terrible, and we ended up shooting just bare,
Right.
bare shoulders.
Because it's better than
Because
terrible
it's better
clothes.
than that. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And in fact,
Yeah.
we won 2 or 3 BHAs with exactly that situation where the clothes
Right.
just didn't work.
Yeah.
And you just had to sit down with a stylist and make a decision and say, look, I'd much rather shoot there than shoot this because it doesn't work.
Right. So
And
that's
change
why
it.
storyboarding and preparing is so
Yeah,
important.
100%, 100%. You can't do enough pre-organization, in my opinion. There is nothing worse than for me than turning up on the morning of the shoot and then everybody says, "Oh, well, can we have a meeting about what we're going to do?" It's too late. It's
Yeah.
way too late.
Yeah.
Even some people can do it. Like Anna, for example. And Anna's done 5 million photo shoots. She's
Right.
done
She
5
already
million
knows.
shows
Yeah.
and whatever.
She brings a lot of stuff though,
Yeah.
too. She will bring a ton of
So
stuff.
so when you shoot with Anna, you're shooting Anna.
Yeah.
So, that's fine. You can turn up and she's already sorted clothes out and makeup out, whatever. And you can do that because,
Mhm.
and there are lots of good, Angelo, for example, could do exactly the same thing. Ucken at
Right.
Hob would never do it, but he could do it,
Mhm.
But if you don't have that amount of experience and that much skill, if you like, you can't do that.
No.
The more prep you do, the better. The more prep you do, the
Yeah.
better.
I really like Pinterest for that.
Yeah.
Pinterest is a great way to storyboard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because everyone can collaborate on that, right? Everyone can you connect them all and then they can add their bits to it.
Yeah.
And, gone are the days where we're actually printing something and bringing an actual physical storyboard. But that's a really great way for everyone to understand and get on board with the concept.
And also, I mean, if talking like somebody like Uppen at Hob, for example, he would have 5 lots of storyboards. He would have a storyboard for what he wants the shoot to look like, a storyboard for what he wants the makeup to look like, one for the styling to look like, model poses, a brief for me, what he wants the lighting to look like, whatever. Printed out, massive break.
Every aspect.
Yeah, every single aspect of the thing. And always 2 alternatives, maybe. I've got another very good client of ours called Sharon Peake, and she would do little drawings. She was, very arty, and she would do a little drawing of exactly what she wanted the hair to look like, and then she'd do an alternative as a plan B, so that if plan A didn't work, it wasn't, oh my God, the whole thing's not working in the whole day. Oh, I'll try plan B. She's already planned it out. And I thought that was a really, really clever thing to do, rather than you turning up blind on the day and having a panic attack.
I like the plan A and plan B thing. That's a good
idea. Simple
idea.
idea. Very simple, but because plan A doesn't always work.
Yeah.
It doesn't always work.
I did the shoot many, many years ago with a junior stylist, and so he came on set, and I think he was just shooting a single model, and he teased the heck out of the hair, and the hair was just like, which is fine. We can have a look with teased hair, but it was just a big ball of hay, it there wasn't where's the direction? Anyone can just tease hair, right? So we're like, the photographer and I are like, okay, so go downstairs and just take it down a little bit. But it already took him an hour to make this hair, right? So he goes downstairs, and the photographer is also a guitar player, is just playing guitar a little bit in between, right? We're waiting. And I was like, okay, it's an hour later, and he comes back down, her hair goes flat. Exactly the opposite, but also bad, right? And we're like, oh no. We're like, no, go do something in between. The guy's like, okay, he's getting really frustrated. He goes back down, he's playing guitar again. We're waiting. I swear we waited another hour, and he came back up and he goes, I can't do it. He goes, "I'm going to give you your money back. I actually can't do it today." But that's called not prepared.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, everybody involved with that is at fault, in my, to a degree, aren't they? You know,
Well, it was just him. It was just him
Yeah.
and his model. So
Yeah.
it was like, he was trying to do this like one-off kind of shot, but not prepared.
Mhm.
And then years later, he went on to be more prepared and more experienced and ended up winning like a Contessa or whatever, right? But that was kind of like starting ground for him.
Well, and the worst thing about that as well is that there used to be time to assist and go on shoots and stuff and get experience, and that doesn't happen anymore. You just people don't want to do that, and it's become so expensive to shoot now. So expensive. I mean, the cost of a studio alone in London is scandalous now. It's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, it's shocking.
So are most of the photographers, like you guys in London, do you have your own studios, or you end up renting studios?
No.
That's kind of gone those days, I guess, right?
Yeah. Nobody. I mean, that happened when obviously there were a lot of warehouses and stuff that were around.
Yeah.
You know, after the war, there was millions and millions of square foot of warehouse space, and you could pick up a warehouse for nothing. Now they're all 5-star apartment blocks. Yeah. And so there's just nobody. So there's two or three very big studio complexes in London that more or less everybody used. Yeah. But I mean, prior to COVID, it was maybe, I don't know, £500 or £600 a day. Now it's £2,000 a day.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Pounds.
And then, pounds. Yeah. And then probably, I don't know, £50 a head for coffee and tea and lunch, etc., parking on top of that, electricity on top of that, lighting on top of that. So you're looking at, by the time before you've even shot anything.
Yeah, just the overhead.
Just the overheads are £3,000 or £4,000. It's just it's crazy what it's become now. It's
totally
madness. To a good shoot, it's a fortune.
I live in a loft building in Toronto, and I'm on Carlaw. So this street back in the day when I first started in the industry, Queen East, it was like that, right? Because it's all loft buildings, old loft buildings. Yeah. And I remember we'd like shoot late, and I would run to the car and like lock the doors and go, okay, I'm safe, right? Like a sketchy neighborhood.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now I live on this street because they all turned into condos. And they're really fantastic lofts. But I mean, but still in our neighborhood, we do have studios that are rentals. Right. And I'm going to say they're like half day is around 500 here, so like much less than UK.
Yeah. I mean, it's become very prohibitive, and that's why the people that are winning VHA over and over and over again are the big boys. Tony and Guy and Hob and Rawson, those guys. Costs. Because because the company can afford it. It's not a big deal. But as a small independent salon, I think that's very difficult now. Very difficult.
Yeah, that's a shame, because they really everybody aspires to win that, and that opportunity for everyone, it sounds like, is not there in the UK. But even for Nahas too, because same thing, you need 3 or 5 shots in the Nahas. I guess
5
it depends.
in Naha.
5, yeah.
5, yeah. Well, 3 for haircutting and stuff, and 5 for the main one.
Yeah, but you really do, to show a collection, have to have 5 shots. It's like, think of the days of magazine spreads when you see an editorial. It's like 6 to 8 to 10 shots, even,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah. For a collection, whenever we shoot a collection, like I've just sent David's out for press today from Naha, and there's 10 pictures in that collection, and that's what you need to go out to press. Because if somebody takes one as a front cover, and then somebody else takes one,
how do you follow it up? Yeah.
What you've got no pictures left. If you take the best 2 pictures out of 5, there's no pictures left. Yeah. So you have to have a big collection of good pictures, so everything's good, and that's really tough, really hard.
Yeah. But it's not even, print has changed so much, because there's a lot less of print. Yeah. That's the sad reality in my world. I've been a magazine junkie since like the late 80s, since my fashion design days. And just only in the last move did I finally get rid of the books and books and books
Yeah,
that I
yeah.
had.
Yeah, I've still got millions of them in boxes in the office.
I know, but like I'm sad I had to throw them out, but I live in a smaller place now. I'd
Yeah.
literally be sitting on top of them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, to have that sort of fashion design background and knowledge and really like so many pictures that are just
Yes.
epic, iconic. I have that in my head, like, and that's just from looking at magazines for so many years. And I think that's helpful on a visualization from an editorial front to have that knowledge.
As you say yourself, you can view all that for nothing on Pinterest.
And that's where I went. And that's once I got rid of everything, because it's all there, even like just, old, vintage, whatever, however many years back, it's all there.
Well, I don't know how any magazine survives anymore.
No, but you look at the magazines, they're all, the paper is not as good quality. They're like half the size. Yeah, it is all going
down. To go
downhill.
out in print is crazy expensive, and
super expensive.
Nobody's buying them. They just want to look at it on an iPad, don't they?
I've stopped myself from years ago, because for me, I would go to Chapters and I would go spend an hour and look at all like the big, heavy, thick ones that are like $100, the fashion collection books. But I would go through the magazine and I go, okay, I like a few editorials and some other stuff. It's worth me buying. I'm going to buy it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then back in the day, and I still have them, thankfully, as my tear sheet books.
Absolutely.
So then I would just pull these images that I like and then get rid of the physical magazine. So I still have these tear sheet books because I used to teach makeup. And I was using these tear sheet books to use. And then back in the day, it was a while ago when I was teaching, I was making transparencies because I had an overhead projector. What else? So
right. Okay.
Yeah, that old.
People listening to this won't know what that is.
Overhead projector. I'm going to look that up. Yeah. Yeah, so I still have some of those, which is super cool. But I miss magazines.
I think it's a shame, that those 4 girls that I said came up and talked to me after the shoot in Atlanta, and they said, any advice and whatever, and I said, well, look at the past, look at what's gone on, look at Richard Avedon and Santa Dorizio, etc., etc., etc. Never heard of them. Never heard of Richard Avedon. Never heard of Santa Dorizio or whatever. Which is insane, isn't it? And so then you say, okay, well, they're the people that shot the Superman in the 80s. The icons. Have you seen this Vogue cover? Oh yeah, I recognize the picture, but they don't know who shot it or where it came from or whatever. And that's that is so sad. That is
because
sad.
They're younger, or just because they're not as into it.
I think a bit of both. I mean, they're all really keen and really excited about doing the job and everything else. So there isn't, a fire in them to know. But the people just don't think about, buying, like Peter Lindbergh and stuff. I've got about 10 of his books, and that's always my go-to. If somebody says, can you come up with an idea for a shoot? I go back to Peter Lindbergh, which is, one of my favorites. Helmut Newton,
Yeah. I've got those here too. I've got I'll show you this one day. Yeah.
Drives my wife around the bend.
I love art books. I want a library like Karl Lagerfeld's.
Well, absolutely. You need to be as rich as Karl Lagerfeld.
Well, he was spending $30,000 a month in this one bookstore. I just watched the documentary about him. There's one that right after he passed away. Yeah. Crazy. But his knowledge, his experience, I mean, obviously he's one of the, biggest names in fashion, but I love hearing someone who is really knowledgeable about fashion talk about their influences. And it's all over the place. It's not just, it's not like it's fashion, it's art, it's interior, it's like, vintage photography. Like there's the combination of what they're talking about. John Galliano, I love the way he speaks. He's like a the art and fashion encyclopedia in his head.
And those are the people that are interesting to work with as well. It's like I've shot a lot with Tim Hartley, that used to be art director of Sassoon or whatever, and his fashion knowledge is insane. He wiggles off. It's just crazy. And then somebody like Charlie Price, in America. Charlie's as knowledgeable as anybody you could ever speak to about fashion and makeup and whatever, and thrilling. Anna the same, they're the people that are interesting that have that depth of knowledge. You know, they're the people that fire me up because they have, you know, they have that library.
Inspire you.
Yeah. And I think also, you know, if you have that encyclopedia inside your head, there's always somewhere for you to go. So if you're stuck with something, if you're doing something and can't find a way of doing it or find a way of making it look right, I've got that encyclopedia. I've got those books in my head.
Oh, the time Pat McGrath did that kind of look, and I'm going to take that eyebrow, and then when Marc Jacobs made this kind of style, and like you pull and create your own thing. So what do you think about the whole like copycat kind of thing? Like you take a picture and you're like, you want to recreate that.
Well, I mean, we all do that. You know, we all do it.
We all start somewhere.
Yeah, start somewhere. So that I kind of get. I think if you try and do anything literally, if you do anything too literally and try and just copy it ad hoc, the whole thing, then I think you won't do it as well as the original anyway. So I think it has to be a starting point maybe, but I don't think we should really try and copy anything per se in its entirety. It just doesn't work. You'll never do it as good as the last person did it, because that's why
there's trends in hair, and then someone sees, oh well, that won last year, and this is a hair trend, so I'm going to try and do that. Yeah. But then it becomes a little bit monotonous and not original, and then it looks like you're trying to copy someone else, and then it's like the originality is gone, and the inspiration is gone.
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's several things that kind of I get exasperated by is that people don't cut hair enough anymore, in my opinion. I don't think there's enough people doing good haircuts, interesting haircuts, whatever, on real hair and doing real things. I don't like this trend of somebody teaching somebody how to cut hair on a mannequin, or watching a YouTube video and whatever. Hair's not that type of material. It's tactile and it's real, and real hair reacts very differently to how something does on a mannequin and stuff. And again, I get the reasons for that, because it's easier and it's it's not so expensive to do, but you've got to cut real hair, and so I've won Naha Hairdresser of the Year 3 times, and I won that with Alan Perec, all real haircuts. Won it with Silas from Blushes in Ottawa, all real haircuts. Shot with Mia Sota in Chicago. She had one wig out of 5. Anna's collection, all real hair. David's collection, all real hair. So just got through in Narhaven. You have to do real hair. If you want to get a good haircut, you've got to do real hair. Haven't you? And I think there's too much. It's gone too much the other way for me. Too much over reliance on wigs and
it's gone wiggy.
Yeah. And it's like, we're hairdressers. We do hair. That's what you're supposed to be doing. You're not wig makers. It's not wigs that you're doing. You do hair. Do hair for Christ's sake.
But wigs is a whole category on its own. It's very specific. It is an art. It is used in fashion. It is used in runway for sure. But
some people do it brilliantly.
A place and time for it.
Yeah, I mean, some people do them brilliantly. I mean, Christopher Benson does brilliant work on wigs. Amazing.
Eugene Sullivan, Pablo Kuman.
Eugene Sullivan, same thing. Duffy and people like that. They do amazing work on
But
wigs.
if you don't know how to work on it, then it looks very clearly obvious that it's a wig, and that's the issue. Yeah.
And then people say, oh, well, can't you retouch that? Can't you make that look better?
That's
can't
the
you
word.
make it look really? Which
No, now it's your job to make that good.
Well, that's what's changed between shooting film and shooting digital.
Yeah.
We were sold that holy grail in the late 1990s of go digital because it's easier and it'll be amazing. It's not. It's been exactly the opposite. Before, we used to shoot for a client, give them the film, take the check, and say thank you very much.
Yeah, now they're retouching hours and hours.
Hours and hours and hours and hours. We've got 3 times as much work as we did when it was on film. Yeah, we've got sucker punch there, I'll tell you.
So when's the last time you shot film?
God, no, 80s,
Wow. Yeah.
probably.
Not even just for
80s,
fun.
90s,
Give it a go.
90s.
No. Yeah.
I did a test a couple of years ago on 10-8 Polaroid, the big old 10-8
Oh, like a
Polaroid.
Hasselblad kind
Yeah,
of like, yeah.
big, with a
Yeah.
thing over your head and all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when you look in the camera, it's upside down
It's
and
upside, yeah.
reversed.
Yeah. And then you
Right,
have
I
to
mean,
sit there for like 30 seconds.
yeah,
Like, don't open your, don't close your
exactly.
eyes. Yeah.
And that was just interesting to do, just a bit of fun and whatever. And actually, film is coming back. There is a big revival of people shooting on
It's
film.
very like Paulo Reversi kind of style.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. But the reason that and so it's very, very high end, because firstly, films are very expensive now, and also scanning charges are really, really expensive now. So a lot of Vogue photographers and whatever have gone back to shooting on film, but they do it because they can. Because the budget's endless.
Yeah.
This is fun.
Well,
to
it's
do.
like Nick Knight, who's one of my favorite photographers.
Yes.
I remember he did a shoot strictly on an iPhone. It was all iPhone shoot.
Yeah.
Which if you have the latest and greatest, you can blow it up to like billboard size, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's.
Do you think photographers will start shooting on iPhone?
My vision of the ongoing situation as a photographer is very grim. I don't think there's a future in it at all, really. I think retouchers are really going to struggle because of AI. You'll be able to do somebody's skin like that because you can just press a button and do it. It's not very good at the moment, but in 10 years' time, it will be good.
Yeah, because you've got like 6 fingers and stuff.
Well, But I don't think there's any future for hand retouching in the future. I think the same sort of thing with photography. I mean, you could probably. I think your days are numbered. I think it's bleak about what the future is going to hold, and it's the same thing for the film industry. I was talking to somebody the other day who's in the business. And they're talking about now they'll get the cast in and shoot some footage of the cast in one day,
and then
the rest of it they'll do it in CGI.
So agents are going to have to charge for that some way, right? But the cost to bring someone on to shoot a movie for 3 months versus bring them in for a day and avatar them.
That's right.
That's interesting.
Well, I mean, it's already out there. You've already seen it.
Yeah.
I can't remember the guy in Gladiator. He died halfway through the film.
Mm-hmm.
And so they CGI'd him in the rest of the film.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And he's actually in Gladiator 2. But he's been dead for 10 years.
Oh my God.
It's insane, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely insane.
Yeah.
So that's what's going to happen, isn't it? I mean, it may well be that, as a photographer, you'd maybe shoot one image, and then you'd be able to press a button and you get 5 different views of it.
So as a photographer, would it be fair to say to start training as best as you can and learn how to do AI so that you become this AI expert to transition your role?
Well, I also think that the stills photography has got an end point as well, because more and more stuff now is shot as video and shot as films, and then when that gets that little bit better, you'll just be able to pull the stills off of video. So I don't think stills photography in its own right thing will actually probably have much of an ongoing future in 50 years' time. The girl will come into the studio and you'll shoot a reel of her or whatever, and then just grab what you want off that reel.
That's the Beauty in Motion Awards, which I started three years ago. Absolutely. Because I see that, and I still love still photography. Obviously, we still need to hang something on our wall. However, that could also be a moving picture too. But just what I saw happening with Instagram, and from the first time I saw advertising, I thought, "Holy crap! This is TV. This is the new TV." Yeah. Right. So if it's the new TV and reels get you the most impressions and views, that's what grows your following base. Absolutely. That's very important to have as a stylist and to really represent your work in a 360 way. Yeah. These little mini movies, and the fact that they've extended the time frame that you can now, post on Instagram, and refer to Nick Knight again on Show Studio. Like, he does these little mini documentaries now. Yeah. And I love seeing these little mini docs about fashion and style and trends and all that kind of stuff. So and that the whole point is to keep them on your page longer because the algorithm likes that, and if they like that, then you're going to get more views, and so it all ties in.
Well, that tells you everything,
the
doesn't
future
it?
of our industry.
Well, that tells you everything. You know, Nick Knight's the greatest photographer in the world probably at the moment, and he's not doing it anymore. You know, he thinks that there's something else to do. You know, and so how long is print going to keep on going? How long are Vogue going to keep on doing that? They'll go online.
And they slowly have, right? So when I was with Canadian Hairdresser magazine, I took that over and we rebranded and everything, and we ended up doing like 6 issues. And it's not so much that we don't want to print, but the cost of print is ridiculous. The cost of paper has gone up. The advertising from the brands has gone down on that medium. Because the other thing is, like, it's such old news by the time it's out there, right? And we're also that like immediate, and so digital is 100% the way to go. So you know, you just have to go that way.
It's like Hairdresser's Journal. Every hairdresser in the world probably. I used to get Hairdresser's Journal on Friday morning. It was the most exciting thing in the world to get all the.
It was weekly.
It was weekly.
Wow.
Absolutely, every Friday morning to come in, deliver through the door, and you you're
so like, is my stuff in here?
Sit down and open my stuff in there. I was super excited. And then just recently, a couple of weeks ago, they've now gone. They're still doing a print issue, but they're not really. You can view it online now, free of charge. So they've got no print issue.
But is it also magazine style, where you like flip a page kind of thing, right?
Like a mag page.
So what do you think about that? I'm asking your professional opinion about flipping a page like a magazine, so still looking at it digitally, or just put it on the website, like just create your website pages. Like, do you think it's necessary to do a flip book?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just interaction, isn't it? It feels nice. I mean, the difference
still makes it sound like the flip sound, right?
Yeah. I mean, I still read a book, for example. I'd much rather have a book.
Yeah.
You know, I've got an Audible stuff I listen to in the car and things like that, or on a plane or whatever the case may be. But if I want to read a book, I'll read a book. I'm not a Kindle lover or anything. I've had Kindles before, but not. I just don't get that interaction with it, and that's exactly the same thing. I want to look in a magazine. I want to look in, I don't buy a newspaper anymore, but I want to look in a magazine.
Yeah. So recently I bought this because it's such a beautiful magazine.
Absolutely.
Gorgeous cover.
Yeah.
Like every now and then I will buy it and I will keep it and I will display it or whatever because like I've got some old school ones too. Like some great covers and stuff.
But how many of those a month are they selling?
Oh God! Well, this is
hundreds.
Where's the year on this? 2006.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So I don't even know if they're around anymore.
That might be the last one that's been bought.
Who knows? Could be worth something. I've got some anniversary issues of Vogue, like it's all silver and stuff like that. That might be worth something one day. But everybody says to me they like a good tangible magazine, but it's just not possible now. It's just not possible. And things have changed. No, things have changed. So like, what is the phone? Everybody has a phone. Everything is about gearing towards what we can look at on our mobile.
And it's instant. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. It's like if you look on most of the magazines, you can order a print issue of whatever at 15, 20, 25, 30 pounds, whatever the case may be, or you can download a digital version for £1.
Right.
For $1.
Yeah. And if you're not like us, where we're like tear sheets and display and stuff like that, if that's not your thing, then there's no point in actually physically purchasing one.
So that all sounds terribly negative and very sad. But
it's a reality, and it's technology, and it's how things change and evolve. So the thing is, like, how do we as creatives move on to that next step and don't get left behind like Blockbuster? Like we've got to change with the times as well. And if that's learning AI or it's creating more movies and reels because that's what the future is, then you got to play with that. You got to learn.
I mean, it's the same thing as the death of the high street, isn't it? I mean, people stop shopping, stop going to the high street, stop having retail stores because they can do it on their phone. So it's exactly the same thing. And then you walk down most high streets now, and half of them are empty.
Yeah.
Because there's no money there to be made. You know, even the big boys are pulled off the high street.
Yeah.
So that's telling you the same story, isn't it? I mean, it's just, we've created that monster, you know, and we're doing more and more and more of it, and therefore there's going to be a result of that, which is sad.
Yeah.
And I've got a friend who's a counsellor, you know, works on a local council, not a counsellor, and you know, and he was saying, you know, what do you think is the, you know, we can get the high street back up and running? I said, well, the only thing you can do is to stop people buying online for a start. And the other thing as well is you need to get people living back in the high street. The reason that London high
locals.
Street, yeah. So you had, you know, apartments above shops and whatever. Those people come down and they'll have a coffee in the morning and, you know, sandwiches and whatever. And that's what creates that energy. They drove all those people out because they were too expensive. Nobody lives in the high street anymore. The high street is dead. It's a madness.
It's a shame. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you were talking yourself about where you live now, you know.
Yeah, well, it's very expensive to live on this street. Like I've been here for 9 years, and I'm hanging on to it for dear life because I don't want to go
absolutely.
for a while anyway.
Yeah. And you know, if you try and find an apartment in London now, just mind blowing. Mind blowing. I was talking to somebody the other day, and a 2-bedroom apartment in Chelsea now is £2.5 million plus. That's £2.5 million for 2-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
In Chelsea.
Yeah. Well, UK is one of the most expensive places in the world.
Yeah. London, Paris, Tokyo.
Yeah.
Crazy. So
yeah.
But I mean, Toronto's not cheap either.
Oh no, Toronto's not cheap at all. No. There's a little bit of talk of rents going down. I don't know. We'll see. But it's just been going skyrocketing too. So
yeah. There's years since I've been. When we went the last time, it must be 30 years ago. We did. Is Yorkville still the?
Yorkville's the place. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I remember most of it.
Yeah, we'll have to get you over here.
I've talked to Ben a couple of times. We've almost kind of got it done. But
you know, maybe the idea of so somebody in Canada, maybe there's a shoot day we can set up and say, you know, John Rawson's coming to town. You want to have X amount of people or X amount of shoots happening, and you know, it could be something we could arrange.
Yeah, why not? I love Canada. I love Canadian people. I love Canada. I don't like the weather in Montreal, but I love Canada.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't like the weather right now. There's still snowbanks on my terrace. Like we've had the worst snow this winter ever. Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah. Yes.
We
almost record breaking.
Really? The first year we flew to Montreal, and it was -40 that first day when we arrived.
Yeah. Oh, they got it worse. Like I've seen reels of people skiing down the streets of Montreal. Like it's like cross country skiing to work, you know, skating right on their like main streets. Like it was really bad there.
Well, me and my assistant were not prepared in any way.
I'm not. I don't even know. Like I was born and raised here, and I'm still not used to it. So yeah, I get it. But if you were to come, you would have to come in this summer. So that would be a prerequisite.
It's a deal.
Okay, good. Okay, John. Well, I love talking everything about photo shoots with you. I'm sure we can have like another couple-hour conversation about this. There's so much more to address, but I really appreciate your time today and all your insights and inspiration.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thanks for asking me. It's lovely.
Yeah, great. Okay, so we will connect again soon. And then on Beauty Hub, we do have a feature on you there. So if anyone wants to like hear or read more, they can look at your feature. And let's put some new images in there because now you're able to release these
now we can release the
finalists. Yeah, so we'll put those
I'll get it all over to you ASAP.
Great. Awesome. Okay, John, thank you so much. We'll talk soon.
Take care.
Okay, bye.